So my topic today is money-wise. So the first thing I want us to do is check your attitude. And that's what those questions were, to check your attitude. What is your attitude towards money? They say, as a man thinketh, so is he. And most of the time, we are the ones who shoot ourselves in the foot with our wrong thinking, our it can't be done attitudes. We grow up with so many of these wrong money narratives that we struggle to get rid of them. I don't know how you grew up in your house, but you know, most of us, you grew up with a scarcity mentality. There is never enough money, so when you have it, you blow it, you know, and tomorrow will sort itself. Or there's never enough money, so when you get it, you hoard it. And you're so frugal, even you're frugal with yourself. You know, I know a man, one of my physics teacher when I was in Form 1, he was so frugal with his money. In his house, he was living in a one-bedroom house, he had a single light bulb. So hiyo light bulb, niko kwa jikoni, natumia. Nikitoka, nazima na unscrew, sitting room. Nitumie bedroom, bathroom. Light bulb 25 bob, ni 50 bob sahi. Ata 50 bob light bulb. He was so frugal. I don't want to spend money on electricity. I wonder when he got married what happened, because there is no wife who is going to allow that. You know? So we have grown up with all of these mentalities. We have seen our parents struggle to provide for us. So we vow to do better for our kids. And sometimes we find ourselves falling into the same rut. And we wonder why this cycle is never ending. So one step towards changing the way we view money, I suppose, is by changing our attitude. That is why that's what Jesus was trying to get people to do. He was trying to get people to have a healthy attitude towards money. Mark you, Jesus was not against wealth. Because also there's this brand of Christianity, the poorer you are. Blessed are the poor in spirit. My friend, it said poor in spirit, not poor in pocket. But the poorer you are, the more consecrated, my friend. That is not it. He just wanted us to see it for what it is, a resource that we can use for his glory and for our good. Money is a resource. The presence or lack of money is not meant to stress us. The presence of money can stress you, and the lack of money can stress you. But money should not be the point here. The irony is that those with millions are stressed about how to protect it. And the poor are stressed about how to make the millions. That's just the irony of life. You know, it's how the skinny person wants to add weight and the overweight wants to lose weight. You know, it's just the irony of life. The one who has a lot of hair is the one who cuts it every year. The one who the hair is so hard to grow, you know, ironies of life. I'm the one who usually cuts the hair. Anyway, the reality is that with or without money, we can still be stressed and anxious. So that should tell you money is not the issue here. Some would argue that it is better to be crying in a mansion than to be crying in a mud hut. To some extent, I agree. Si afadhali ulilia sheet za silk, ama sayo umeshiba kuku. Haya, let me be crying on my silk sheets, and I'm crying on watching my 50-inch screen instead of in some mud hut. You know. But the point I want to bring here is that money should not be the cause of stress. All right? It should not be the cause. Remember, the blessings of the Lord add no sorrow. Money is a blessing. So it should not add you sorrow. Jesus wants us to learn that he is the provider, by the way. Not our jobs, not our parents, not our spouses, not our sponsors. Sponsors, it goes either way. Kuna sponsors were the young boys and the sponsors for the young girls. Sindio? Wacha kuniangalia hivyo. Hivyo ndio maisha iko. Yeah. So he can use those avenues, although we are agreeing that sponsors are not the way to go. But he can use any avenue he chooses to provide for us, but he is the ultimate provider. The mistake we make is to look at our husband, our wife, our spouse, our parent. Those are avenues, our job. He wants us to rely on him. He wants us not to view money with this scarcity mentality, but with an abundance mentality. Isn't he the creator of all, and doesn't all riches belong to him? I was talking to my mother the other day, and I just realized Africans did not originally have a scarcity mentality. Scarcity mentality, I think, came with colonialism, because the way she was explaining to me how she was living, my mother grew up in the village, in the coast. She was explaining life to me. I was just like, where? Can we go back to that era? Because it was a time where food was not a problem. They used to go farming. So it's like, it was allowed in the village. So long as if you're on your way and you get hungry somewhere, you can uproot somebody's cassava, choma it there, ukule, and you leave it there so that the owner knows haujaiba, ulikuwa uko na njaa. You could just walk to anyone's field. If you see mangoes on the ground, eat as you want, na uende. She's telling me in her village, now my Ushago, that they used to eat outside on the veranda. Like, you just put your food there and you eat, because it's from a Swahili culture. I come from a Muslim background, so it's everyone just eat there with your sinia, with your mikeka, any visitor, any passerby, stranger, visitor, karibu twala. There's, wali wanazi and whatever you're eating. It's like food was not an issue. Just enter any house and eat. But slowly, colonialism, individualism, capitalism, now everyone, like in that village, nobody eats on the veranda anymore. It's only now us who eat on the veranda. And it's because my grandmother and my uncle, they were like, us, even if people are going to be selfish, we are not. So if I go to my Oshago, we still have to eat at the veranda, on a mkeka, on a sinia. Like as in it's karibu twala, anyone can come and eat. What happened? Scarcity mentality. The resources are going to end. The food is not enough. I have to take care of myself. Those are lies from the pit of hell. And that is what God was trying to get rid of in the wilderness with the Israelites. Scarcity mentality and a spirit of independence. He was trying to teach them to have an abundance mentality and learn to rely on God. Yeah, we're in the wilderness, but there is no scarcity of food. Okay? I am God. That is why he forbade them from taking manna when they needed, more manna than they needed for the day, except for the Sabbath. They were told, you just take this. Tomorrow there'll be more. And those people who were doubting when they took more, it went bad. He wanted them to trust that even in the wilderness, food will be in plenty. It is not an issue. When they wanted meat, God gave them so much quail, they got sick of it. He said, it shall come out from your nostrils. Quail up to your knees, like so much quail. Unachoma, una fry, una roast, una bake, mpaka umechoka na hiyo quail. And perhaps the reason we find it hard to trust God with our finances is because he often doesn't come for us when and how we want him to, right? Have you ever realized that God usually waits until the time when you are dangling on a thread? You're like, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. He waits for that time, then now he comes and rescues you. I think, in my opinion, God, he's just dramatic like that. He waited for the crowd to reach 5,000, and then he just nicely turns to his disciples. So, mutadu. They're like, dude, what are we supposed to do with 5,000 people? He knew that he was going to come through for them anyway. And that's also what he knows for us. He's going to come through for us. He tells us not to worry about what we will eat, what we will wear. If you think about it, can you imagine those Israelites? For 40 years, their clothes did not get torn. Their shoes did not wear out. So the second thing is simplify your life. I know Pastor Martin talked a bit about this last Sunday. We live in a consumer culture. There is pressure to buy more and better things all the time. No sooner have you bought this phone than a newer version is out and you feel the pressure once again to upgrade. We get an increase in salary, we are already thinking about moving to a bigger house. We get a promotion, we want to buy a car that reflects our new status. I have a friend who was working as an auditor in this really big firm, And, so she got this promotion. I don't know which level of manager she was. And she had a nice black Subaru, and she loved it. But her fellow managers, no, how can you drive a Subaru? Because now where the managers were parking, it was Mercedes, 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 Subaru. Mercedes, 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 So they were like, no, how? How do we go for meetings and then you're strolling in with your Subaru? Get a Mercedes. She was seriously being pressured. You have to upgrade your car. And she was just like, but there's nothing wrong with my car. I love my car. It's like my second handbag. Why am I getting rid of my car? And that's how the pressure is. We get a bonus and we've already blown it away on things that we will regret buying later. We even take loans to buy things that we cannot afford, and we wind up languishing in debt. I have been a victim of this. The world wants you to buy, buy, buy. But what do you think all the adverts are for? What do you think all of the shiny billboards are for? Adverts are designed to make you think that there is something missing in your life, and that and only that product can make you whole. Unless you buy that product, your life will not get better. They intentionally, strategically place billboards in places where you repeatedly see them so that your brain registers them as a necessity. You saw the Coca-Cola ad. You saw the Coca-Cola inside the Chicken Inn ad. Let me tell you, when you live here, you will see every Coca-Cola ad because now your brain is Coca-Cola. You wouldn't have noticed it before, but that's what they do. They want to make you focus on it so much, suddenly you feel like, by the way, it is an emergency. I need Coca-Cola now. Have you ever noticed that television ads are also carefully, they usually put at times where you'll pay attention. In the middle of news, tunangojea the response of the Supreme Court. Hapik. Surely, kwa mosho moja too, why do we need to? It's because they know that you will not change the channel, you don't want to miss the news. They put it right there. When they know that your attention is at the highest. And television ads are the worst because they're engaging most of your senses. Visual, auditory. That soundtrack of the ad pulls your heartstrings. You're feeling patriotic. You're just wondering, why do I feel like I want to do something for Kenya? Safaricom ad. And the people in the ad, they're always beautiful and handsome, by the way. They're always these people who look like you and me. Like, if they can do it, I can do it. They are basically telling you that if you want to be like those people in the ad, buy the product. The next thing you know, you are there at Naivas buying the product. Wangapi tunakutana Chicken Inn 1 o'clock. So what's the end result of this? You find yourself unable to live within your means. Why? Because you're constantly buying things that you do not need. And it's not bad to buy stuff, by the way. I love shopping, but I am careful not to buy or pay for things on a whim. And then now, unfortunately, with this whole swipe manenos, at least if you're counting cash, you can be like, how many thousands are these? But swipe, una swipe, card declined. Card declined. Card declined. Swiping. Or even worse, M-Pesa. Maybe M-Pesa might be better, but this electronic money, somehow that's how money goes more. We're paying for things online by M-Pesa, you don't feel it. But at the end of the day, you're wondering, where did my money go? So if we're able to regulate ourselves, it saves us a lot of money and heartache. And in case you do find that you have lots of stuff that you do not need in your house, I have one word for you: declutter. Stop clinging on those pair of jeans that you've not worn for 2 years, claiming this year you will finally lose weight and fit inside. Please, I have a message from the Lord. You will not fit into those jeans, donate. Sawa? Prophecy straight from the pearly gates. Stop hanging on to that tie. The last time you wore that tie was 10 years ago in your high school reunion. Pia nice or tie. If we would only hang on to the money the way we hang on to clothes that no longer fit us, I think we would be in a better place. Life, I believe, is meant to be inherently simple. We are the ones who complicate it. Our eyes are always searching for the latest thing to add to our possessions. And then we end up getting ulcers on how we will afford them. Then we buy the expensive item, we get ulcers how we will keep them from damage. You know, these items. So I got, my phone died last year, and I was sad about it. I'm not one to buy phones, like I don't go with trends. I just ask how much is the memory, can you take memories, all those things, so whatever. So my Infinix died last year. So I was realizing my phone now it's an asset. I do my business on my phone. So I was just like, my next phone needs to have a bigger memory. I'm forever recording videos, putting on YouTube, so those things. So it meant I had to buy an expensive phone. So I had saved some money and I said, hey, okay, you've never bought a phone this expensive, but let's buy that phone. See, it is for your business. Hiyo phone ilikuwa na treat kama mayai. Hey, screen protector, ikianguka, why? My phone, you have fallen now. Why? It's a phone. But the more expensive it is, the more you get a scratch on your car. Even that is giving you a headache. Why, my car? Why are we so attached to these possessions of ours? The cycle continues. Remember, we are in the world, but we are not of it. The Bible also warns us about the lust of the eyes, the need to consume and to buy things, the need to have more, even if we cannot afford it. Let us choose to live within our means and resist the lure of the enemy to be trapped in the consumer culture that is this world. So my last point, choose to save. Here is the small wisdom I have picked up over the few years I have lived on this here planet. Saving is a choice. It is a choice that you can always make. And it doesn't matter how much you earn. Most of us think that we need this large amounts of money to save. But I've come to see, if you cannot save with 1,000 shillings, you will not save with 100 million. It is an attitude. It is a habit. It is a culture. It is a muscle that needs to be built over time. You start with what you have and you build from there. We like belittling the money that we have, but can you imagine if you save 500 bob a month? By the end of the year, you have 6,000. 6,000, see, you've paid NHF for the entire year. It might not seem like much, but we have to build that culture and start from somewhere. And next year, you say, okay, now I saved 500. Okay, now next year I'll be saving 1,000 a year. By the end of the year, 12,000 shillings, clean money, no tax. Take yourself a holiday, or buy yourself a phone or whatever, or accumulate it for more savings. But the problem is that most of us lack the patience and the discipline to do so. We want to start saving, and in a few months, we should miraculously emerge as millionaires. Sindio? Yeah. Life, unfortunately, does not work like that. But if you're a millennial like the rest of us, we want easy and fast things. Hallelujah, millennials. If we hope to save, we need to be disciplined and do it whether we feel like it or not. Anybody who's done anything, you have to go there whether you like it or not. Sometimes you're just like, you have to go to work and face that annoying coworker. Okay. You go whether you feel like it or not. You're like, at the end of the month, nataka unga. I have my goals. But what if you said, mi siendi leo, hiyo coworker jipange? My friend, can you do that? No. I don't know why we can afford to work for other people, whether we feel like it or not, but we cannot do something for ourselves, whether we feel like it or not. And in case you're wondering, the best time to start saving is now. With whatever you have, start now. Don't wait for tomorrow. You have 1 shilling. Have a piggy bank na weke hiyo shilingi hapo ndani. Start. One thing I find that can help us save is to have a goal. If you do not have a reason to save, then why the heck should you even save? Have a goal. It can be to have money for a rainy day. It can be for a retirement fund. Yes, you heard me, retirement fund, because do not be deceived. 65 is just around the corner. So perhaps you are saving to pay for your college tuition, or even to buy a house. Heck, you can decide just to save and buy yourself a new phone. It doesn't matter. But the point is, have a goal. Because if you have a goal, even when you're feeling like touching that money, you're just like, no, I wanted to buy that house. I want to take myself on holiday. I promised I'd buy my kid a bicycle. I promise. That will help you stay on the straight and narrow. We lack motivation if we do not have purpose. It's going to be hard to commit to saving if you do not have a clear reason of why you are saving. They say that you should save at least 20% of your earnings. So if you have 100 bob, save 20 bob. This is the principle Joseph used to help Egypt weather the 7 years of severe famine that they had. God gave Pharaoh a dream predicting that there'd be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. Joseph interpreted his dream and further recommended that during the years of plenty, they should save a fifth of the grain so that they could use it during the time of drought. And Pharaoh, of course, made him governor of Egypt, and he was able to implement his plan. What was the result of this? He virtually was able to feed Egypt and the rest of the known world at his time. Like, Egypt was the center of the universe. So it's like at that time, basically, he was feeding everyone in the world. So he had a goal to save for a rainy day, a dry day in his instance, and his efforts were rewarded. He was able to save not only Egypt, but his family in the process. When he was making this plan, he didn't even think his family would be part of it, but that's how God works. I would like to summarize by reminding you that the keys to financial freedom are in your hands. Choose to have a healthy view of money, remembering that ultimately it is God who is our provider. Endeavor to live a simple life and do not fall for the enticing yet never satisfying consumer culture of this world. Lastly, choose to develop the discipline of saving. Start with what you have and make sure you have a clear reason for why you are saving. We are stewards of God's resources, and that includes money. So let us make the best use of the money that we have, trusting God to provide for our needs according to his riches in glory. Amen? Amen.